Welcome back to Brunch with Books. Today we continue our conversation on The Midnight Library by Matt Haig and The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. The theme is on the lessons of possibility. Have you ever thought, what if I had made a different choice? We all have thought it, right? But what if the best life is not somewhere else? It starts when we stop looking back with regret and start living with hope. Let's explore these two books and see a new perspective from these two books. And let's begin today's discussion. Over to you, Dr. Geeta.
Thank you, Shritapa. Hi, everyone. Published in 2020, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig became an international phenomenon because it speaks directly to a modern obsession, the belief that happiness lies just beyond our next achievement. As we continue our exploration of The Midnight Library, we arrive at one of the novel's most surprising discoveries. Matt Haig challenges this assumption through the character of Nora Seed, who is given a rare opportunity. She gets to experience the life she always believes would make her happy. And what she discovers changes everything. Not only for her, but for us also, because it gives us an insight. Throughout her journey in the Midnight Library, Nora steps into lives she once dreamt about. She becomes a successful musician, which she always wanted to be. She achieves athletic success and excellence, which she felt, she was very good at athletics. She earns recognition and respect for her career. She gets to live the career that she had chosen. She experiences fame, accomplishment, and admiration. From the outside, these lives appear extraordinary. Many people spend years pursuing exactly these kinds of goals. And yet something unexpected happens. Even in these successful lives, Nora finds herself confronting familiar emotions of loneliness, uncertainty, disappointment, doubt. The details change, the lives change, the goals that she had changes, but human experience remains the same. In spite of the fame that she undergoes and the success that she lives through, these human experiences, these emotions of unhappiness still remains behind. This realization forces Nora to question one of her deepest assumptions. What if success and fulfillments are not the same thing? Many of us grow up believing that achievement will eventually deliver happiness. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I get promoted, when I earn more money, when I publish the book, when I achieve that goal. But life often teaches a different lesson. Goals can be deeply meaningful. Accomplishments can bring satisfaction. Success can create opportunities. But fulfillment comes from something deeper, from connections, purpose, growth, presence, meaning. The Midnight Library shows us that external success cannot solve every internal struggle. A person can be admired and still feel lonely. A person can be accomplished and still feel uncertain. He can achieve extraordinary things and still wonder who he is. This is not a criticism of ambition. No. Rather, it is an invitation to examine what we are truly seeking. Sometimes what we call success is actually a desire for significance. What we call achievement is actually a desire for belonging. Sometimes what we call recognition is actually a desire to feel valued. Nora's journey reveals that fulfillment is not automatically waiting at the end of a successful path. It must be cultivated wherever we are. The novel gently encourages us to ask a different question. What kind of life feels meaningful to me? Because achievements and fulfillment are different goals. One can often be measured, the other must be experienced. Achievement has to be measured, but fulfillment has to be experienced. And today, my question to you all viewers, have you ever achieved something you once desperately wanted, only to discover that it did not bring the lasting happiness you expected? What did that experience teach you about the difference between success, and your feeling of fulfillment. Now, I invite Dr. Siddharth to reflect on this question and share his viewpoints with us. Over to you, Dr. Siddharth.
That was quite a profound uh, point which Dr. Geeta you raised. Uh, Taking that question into consideration, I remember I was uh, desperate. I would not say desperate, but I was really looking forward to my on-site travel, and I was very excited that I'm going to stay abroad and live a life which is I had just imagined, dreamed about, and that's when I traveled. There were few mishaps which I faced when I traveled. The flight I had taken, there were like three legs to that flight, and when I reached there, reached to so it was Chicago, and Chicago to a state called Wisconsin. I had to move, and there was a flight already scheduled. But by the time I reached Chicago, it was delayed, and the flight to Wisconsin had left. So I had to arrange my bus travel, and that was such a difficult thing to do those days because there was no phone connection, there was no WhatsApp or anything at the time I had traveled to. So I used the payphone. I was struggling to know about the coins which I should use. So there were a lot of issues, small things which I had gone through finally reaching my work location. And the day I reached my work location, it was snowing heavily. It was already like 15 inches of snow, and I had no clue of how to handle so much of snow. While the first um, you know feeling I got was that wow, so much of snow. But the moment I came out of airport and I was actually heading towards the bus stand, and finally bus reached the place, I was really tired and I was not really happy with this abroad travel. Over a few days, when I was actually doing my work, I realized that I am getting sucked into something which I had never desired for. That was my realization that when we are looking, when maybe we dream a lot, we imagine something, and we assume that this is my best life. But at some point of time, when you are living that life, you realize that this was never your best life. So that is something which happened to me, and over a period of time I realized that I'm not made to I was homesick, so I was not a um, living abroad kind of a person. So that was exactly which happened over a period of time. And then at some point of time in my life, I realized that I don't want to stay abroad. I want to stay in my country, and I decided to come back. So what I am relating this question to, that we are thinking about our best life as something, but ultimately, when we are living it, we start realizing that it is not maybe that. So that's my example. Over to you, Shitapa, to share your insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Siddharth, for that wonderful reflection. Your thoughts remind me that every choice we make, it comes with a part of our journey and lessons while we are in that life. So I will like to add on that I was, always someone who likes to take notes, to, write something in my own notebook, but never in a thought that I will become an author. I was, thinking that someday maybe I'll write something in blogs, but maybe travel blogs, because that's what I used to like, or some reflections, memories, and I used to collect and make my own small, cute little notebook, which had all my memories in one place. And I used to love looking back at my past and have those memories refreshed, or my old photo albums. And I used to go back and check and see how the family used to laugh together, and all those cute little pics of ours when we were all very young. That was how I was. But suddenly, there was, something life was meant to be. And I took up writing very seriously, and I joined an academy, and I learned how to write a book. And thankfully, I met many more people who have this passion of writing, and my interest in writing developed, and I started writing books, which was big thing for me. I was very hesitant to begin in this journey. I was very stressed. How will I proceed with it? Maybe just one book was my thought when I began, but I felt very difficult when I wrote my first book. I will be very honest. It was challenging. It was stressful. It always gave me that I don't know whether I can be an author. I always questioned myself with doubts, and with that whether I will be a good one, people will love to read my book. That was something which used to haunt me at night, but I still carried that strength to move forward. So this is where life, what you choose, may be very difficult in your initial phase. But if you have something within you to move forward, maybe you will find out that it was just a small phase, and then you are enjoying the journey. And I don't think I will ever stop writing after that. First book was just a beginning to give me that confidence that there is very long way as me as an author. And that was something I felt, that life's choices can evolve you as a person and your life in a new direction. So take it with strength and positive hope. If you have decided, make it through. Whatever is that moment, live through fully with good, happy heart. Over to you, Sujata, for more insights.
Thank you, Shritapa. I love listening to your story, and it's so nice that you started writing, and that's exactly what uh, you know Brianna Wiest in her book Mountain Is You. She also tells us that we spend so much of our life chasing goals that we think would make us happy, but those goals, they really don't make us happy. Maybe what we are looking for, success, is something different. Like you found your passion in writing. So, one of the four most fascinating ideas in her book is that our brains actually enjoy wanting something more. Just think about it, before an exam, just before we buy a new phone, before a vacation or a promotion, there is some excitement and hope. But once we get what we wanted, then it happens. That's what she says, that once we get it, then our excitement fades. So she makes an important point. So it's sometimes not overwork, it's keep proving ourselves and keep collecting achievements, not because we genuinely want them, but because we are trying to fill an emotional gap inside. The real problem isn't the lack of achievement, it's the wound we are trying to heal through achievement. Now let's connect it with the Midnight Library. Throughout the novel, Nora gets the chance to live many different versions of her life. In one, she's famous. In another, she's incredibly successful. In another, she's admired. These were the very lives she once believed would make everything perfect. But something surprising happens. Even in those successful lives, she still experiences loneliness. She still has doubts. She still struggles with uncertainty. The scenery changes, but the emotions don't disappear. And that's such a powerful lesson. Success can change your circumstances, but it cannot automatically change your inner world. Both books remind us that achievement and fulfillment are not the same thing. You can be successful without being fulfilled. You can be admired without feeling loved. You can have everything you once dreamed of and still wonder if something was missing. Real fulfillment comes from living in alignment with your values, nurturing meaningful relationships, and appreciating the life you are living, and not just the life you're chasing. Because a better question isn't how successful can I become? Maybe it's what kind of life will allow me to wake up feeling content, connected, and true to myself. So I would love to hear your thoughts now, Jasbir, on this. If you want, do you know of someone who achieves something they desperately wanted, and then only later they discovered that did not bring them the lasting happiness they were seeking? Please share the story. Over to you, Jasveer.
Thank you, Sujata. Yes, there is a very famous story, real life example of an engineer, a man who was, uh, pursuing engineering, and he had got into IIT. He's famous as IIT Baba. His real name is Abhay Singh. He was born in Haryana, and if you go back to his childhood, he says he was brought up in a very stressful household where it seems that there was domestic violence and a lot of parental conflict, and so he used to lock himself up at night and study hard, and he studied so well that he cracked the competitive JEE exam and cracked a spot at the prestigious IIT Mumbai college. So he graduated as an aerospace engineer. Now, after he graduated, he went abroad. Mostly engineers, when they get an opportunity, they want to pursue a lucrative career. And he went in the aerospace sector. He got a good opportunity. He was earning a package of almost 36 lakh rupees per annum, which, he was doing very well professionally. Now, despite all this financial success, he felt immense inner emptiness, struggled with severe depression, shifted from engineering to arts, started pursuing photography, and he was trying to figure out the complexities of human psychology, and he also learned the Sanskrit language. After realizing that all these material achievements failed to actually answer his inner voice and his inner struggle, he abandoned this corporate career and he came back to India, and he went to Dharamshala, which is in Himachal Pradesh. It is a town, hill station, and he started to get into bhakti, and it was his inner pull, he says. And last year, in the Mahakumbh Mela, when lakhs of devotees were assembling at Prayagraj, he was found there, and he's a disciple with the Juna Akhada, and the media and all hounded him, and that's how his story came out. So he's known as the IIT Baba or Engineer Baba because he was an engineer who's now taken up spirituality, and he believes that it's not necessary that you have to follow rigid labels of being a monk. He advocates for inner freedom and a completely fluid lifestyle. So because of which, usually it's in when a person takes up spirituality, and orthodox method is that they don't get married. He returned to becoming a householder by marrying Pritika, who was a fellow engineering graduate from Karnataka, and now both of them are in settled down in Dharamshala again in Himachal Pradesh, and he's trying to bring about and establish an university where there will be spiritual education given to other people who are looking for spirituality and kind of freedom from all these material situations. And that is known as Tree University. So, this is one very strong example, recent example of a person who has completely changed over his life. So now I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Geeta to go ahead with the story. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasbir. That was one amazing story. I resonate with the message that was so beautifully accompanied by your account. We conclude our journey through The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, a novel that begins with regret but ultimately becomes a story about hope. Throughout this book, Nora Seed searches for a better life. She believes happiness exists somewhere else, in another choice, in another career, in another relationship, another version of herself, in another lifetime. She spends much of her journey exploring alternate realities, convinced that if she can just find the right life, everything will finally make sense. But after experiencing countless possibilities, Nora arrives at a profound realization. She does not need a perfect life. She needs a life she is willing to live fully. This is perhaps the most important lesson in the entire novel. For much of her life, Nora has been resisting reality, comparing her present life to an imagined alternative or alternatives, measuring herself against impossible standards, focusing on what is missing rather than what remains possible. But the Midnight Library slowly teaches her that perfection is not the goal. Perfection is a moving target. No matter where we arrive, there will always be another path we didn't take, another opportunity we missed, another possibility we can imagine. If happiness depends on perfection, we will never find it. Instead, Nora learns the power of acceptance, not resignation, not giving up, but acceptance. Acceptance means acknowledging reality as it is before deciding how to respond. Recognizing that every life contains pain and beauty, challenges and rewards, strengths and limitations. Growth begins when we stop fighting the fact that life is imperfect. What makes Nora's transformation so powerful is that her circumstances have not magically become perfect or they have all disappeared. She still faces uncertainty. She still has challenges ahead. The difference is that she no longer believes those challenges make life meaningless or that they are unsurmountable. Instead of asking, why isn't my life better? She begins asking, what can I do with the life I have? This shift changes everything. By the end of the novel, Nora chooses to live life not because she finally discovers the perfect version of herself, but because she realizes that every version of herself contains potential. She understands that life is valuable precisely because it remains unfinished. There are possibilities that remain unexplored. There are still people to meet, experiences to have, lessons to learn, dreams to explore, and perhaps the greatest gift the Midnight Library offers to its readers is a reminder that our lives do not need to be perfect to be meaningful. They simply need to be lived fully. What a beautiful takeaway. What a beautiful insight to have. So, viewers, my question to you all, what is one aspect of your life that you have been resisting, criticizing, or wishing were different? How might you experience change if you begin by accepting it fully and then choosing your next step from that place of acceptance? Now, I invite Dr. Siddharth to share his reflections on this question and share it with us. Yes. Over to you, Dr. Siddharth.
Wow. That incident from what you were talking about, Dr. Gita, and then previously Jasveer was talking about Engineer Baba is uh, quite an enlightening one, right? So many a times in our life, we are resisting a lot of things. We are saying, no, 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 we don't want this in our life. Um, at that point of time, we are not clear, maybe that why that thing we are against that, or maybe we are very opinionated at that time that this is not this we don't want in our life. But there is a way I feel like the universe conspires that if something we are saying no so many times, it somehow comes in your life and shows its true shades, and you fall for it. So I think that has happened to me in many ways. One of the example I'm sharing now in this session, and that is about my coaching life. So when I was growing up, I always was this shy person who wanted to do my work and be happy about it. I didn't talk much to others, and I was just happy doing my things. And that is how I was feeling that this is what I want to do in my life. When I graduated, when I started doing work, I was not looking for leadership roles. Rather, I was quite like one person team member, or in a team, I was the quietest person who can be given work and will achieve whatever needs to be done. But and I had this opinion that leaders uh, will actually, be getting very busy life, and maybe even the people who are mentoring and coaching, they have a very busy life, and I never want to get into it. So that never got into my subconscious, and I used to not like it, that I will, maybe I'll grow to that level that people will be asking me questions and I have to answer questions. I never wanted to get into that. But over a period of time, there was a shift going on, and people were pushing me. My managers were pushing me, you need to step up. Even when I had to go abroad, my manager was after me that you have to step up and take care of your team. So you have to, if you want to have a good life, you will have to do this, that, and blah blah blah. um, I had this thought that, this is not my life. But then slowly, the environment around me and the people around me were conditioning me that you need to become a leader, that you need to become a mentor, that you need to talk and handle teams. So it was getting into me subtly through the environment and conditioning, and somehow I started liking it also. This was a complete shift which I was going through. The person who is a complete introvert, shy guy who didn't want to talk a lot was actually getting into the space of talking more, helping people, leading people, getting into those CXO rooms, those board rooms. This was never something I had dreamt of. And also, I always used to go further from the people psychology and not get involved there. But then I got drawn into, later point of time, I was getting drawn into learning about psychology. So what happened is, what I'm just getting into is this thought that when we resist something, we are actually creating that opportunity of that resistance attracting itself to in our life, and then we start getting into that mode, the mold of what we are running away from. So I was running away from leadership, I was running away from mentoring, coaching, and that is what the life I got sucked into. Now that I am a coach, I'm an author, I feel like there is so many things I have learned while being in this space. But I never wanted this. But now when I am into it, I feel like this is what I was made for. So maybe purpose was calling me in very different ways, and I found my purpose through that. That's how I see this resistance thing working. That's my story. Over to you, Shitapa, to share yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Siddharth. That was such a meaningful perspective, and definitely many people must have experienced such things in their life. And I would like to take this forward through one of such similar experience, like feeling lost in life. So at certain point of time, we reach and we feel that you don't know what you want in life. People feel confused, stuck, or even disconnected with themselves. Like that had been happening to me for a while now, and I was like, I'm doing good in life, good job, everything going great in life. But then I was like, uh, I was not enjoying this similar kind of work which I've been doing for 2 decades, and I actually didn't know what I really wanted to do. Few months back, I was wondering, what should I do this? Taking risk was also very risky for me, and fear was my biggest challenge. Not that my capability, but a fear that what if it doesn't work? What if it goes wrong? And this someday I was so lost in these what ifs that I was feeling, what am I doing in this kind of life? What do I really want to do now? Nothing is clear. But in between this phase, what was keeping me going is like, you don't have to have all the answers at the moment. It's just take a leap of faith, take that risk, because something if you want to do, there is not something you will be getting a perfect moment to begin. Just start now, because now or never is what I understood. Just start now and then see what it happens. Then let it flow, and things will be more clearer as you walk the path. This is what my book journey taught me. This is the new strength I found, and I just took a similar leap of faith now, and I have started my own company, Thriveverse. So I just revealed today that yes, Thriveverse is officially registered as an Australian company, and I began with this as a new phase of my life, and I had this in my mind long back that someday I'll do something different. I didn't know what, and this is what I wanted to do. I don't know the path ahead. I don't know the challenges ahead. I don't know whether I will be thriving, but what I'm knowing here is I'm loving what I'm doing. So just take that risk, and who knows where I be in next few years. So that's what I feel, that feeling lost is good, because it gives you a phase, it teaches you something, and maybe you will find something what really interests you, and that small step can take you to a newer opportunity, a newer height, which you may not have imagined also if you wouldn't have overcome your fear or took a deroute from your regular monotonous life. So over to you, Sujata, for more insights.
Thank you, Shritapa, for your inspiring story. And first of all, let me wish you all the best in your new venture. And may your company grow, rise, and do as well as we all wish. It will definitely do very well. And now, when we coming back to the books, both the authors that we are discussing, both have talked about regret, comparison, fear, which you also just now talked about, hidden beliefs, success, fulfillment. So now we are here. This is the last episode for these two books. And look, let's see what happened. At the end of the Midnight Library, Nora has been searching for a better life. She's explored countless possibilities, tested her regrets, and she's seen what could have been. And now what she finally realizes, she doesn't need a perfect life. She needs a life she's willing to live fully. And that, my friends, is everything. For so long, Nora had been resisting reality, comparing her present life to imagined alternatives, measuring herself against impossible standards, focusing on what was missing rather than what was possible. And here's what Brianna Wiest teaches us in The Mountain Is You. True peace doesn't come from perfection. It comes from making peace with imperfection. It comes from learning to trust yourself even when you are uncertain, even when you don't have all the answers, even when life is messy and complicated and nothing goes according to your plan. Because the thing is that life isn't always going to be imperfect. There will always be another path that we didn't take, another opportunity we missed, another possibility we can imagine. If happiness depends on perfection, we will never find it. So, what's the alternative? Acceptance, not resignation, not giving up, but acceptance. Acceptance means acknowledging reality as it is before deciding how to respond. It means recognizing that every life contains pain and beauty, challenges and rewards, strength and limitations. It means stopping the fight, against what life is giving us, or the belief that life is imperfect, and starting to ask a different question. Not that why isn't my life better, but what can I do with the life I have? And that's what Nora finally learns. Her circumstances haven't magically become perfect. She still faces uncertainty. She still has challenges ahead. But the difference is she no longer believes those challenges make life meaningless. And that's what self mastery looks like, according to Brianna. Not controlling everything, not having it all figured out, but showing up anyway. Trusting yourself even when you're uncertain. Brianna says something very beautiful. She says, shift from self sabotage to self mastery isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming real, about becoming grounded, free. And that's exactly what Nora becomes. You don't need to have everything figured out. The life you're longing for is not somewhere else, it's right here, hidden beneath the beliefs that you keep telling you it's not enough. So choose it, choose this life with all its imperfections, all its uncertainties, all its beautiful messiness. Because this life, it's yours and it's worth living. So now let's hear from Jasbir. Uh, does she know of someone? Do you know of someone who has accepted life fully as is and then chose the next step from that place of acceptance? Over to you, Jasbir.
Thank you, Sujata. Yes, there is a great example of Hollywood star Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, as we all know, is a global superstar with his movies The Matrix and John Wick, which brought him immense popularity. So, there have been a series of profound losses that could have easily left him bitter or resentful. It starts when, in early childhood, his father abandoned his family. His close friend, River Phoenix, died of an overdose. His daughter was stillborn. And then, to add to his tragedies, his partner Jennifer died in a car accident shortly later. Now, instead of, getting into depression, he did not deny his grief or mask it with destructive behavior. He acknowledged his grief openly, and at the same time, he accepted that loss is a part of life. Is the permanent fabric in his reality. And from that acceptance, he chose to funnel his pain into having deep empathy for others. You know, then we also know that he has achieved a lot of fame and wealth. So he thinks this is the byproduct of his hard work, not a measure of what he is, of his human worth. So he chose a lifestyle of simplicity. He rode the subway, he lived in hotels for years, and intentionally he did not build a massive wall between himself and the public. He was very approachable, very ordinary, something extraordinary about a person who has achieved immense popularity, and he's still approachable to people, which is extraordinary. So and then also, obviously, with his success came massive financial success. He accepted that he had more than enough to live comfortably, so he did not become greedy, and to the extent he chose to share his wealth. So he gave up millions of his dollars, from the profits of the Matrix sequels, to all the special effects and costume design teams who had supported him in this endeavor. And he's very famous to buy expensive gifts for his stunt crews and funds children's hospitals anonymously. So this is how he is trying to add, give back to society without making a great show about it. So the other thing is that he has accepted that now that he's older, with passage of time, his body has changed, his career has also, become stagnant. So he's, actually taking up roles which are more to match his age and maturity, instead of being the action icon that he was earlier. So this is a person that we can learn from, that when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And that's how he's lived a simple life where there's so much to learn from him. And now I'd like to hand over to Shritapa to conclude for today's session. Thank you.
That was such a beautiful perspective, Jaspreet. And yes, life gives us lemon, so we make lemonade. What a fantastic line. And today's conversation reminds us that we don't need a perfect life. We have to find happiness with what we have. When we let go of the regret, we accept where we are, and we stay open to new opportunities. That is when you get your real freedom to create a meaningful life with what you have. With this, I hope you are writing your new story. It's not finished yet, so please make the life of your dreams come true with these amazing perspectives from these classics. Thank you. Take care. Tata. Bye bye. Don't forget to subscribe our channel if you really feel it adds value to your life. Thank you.